Today's meditation will be led by Maha. Here we go again. I press all the buttons. This one, huh? Very smart. You got a female brain.
Good morning. Okay, let me invite you to sit comfortably. Get your back straight and also relax. Start to breathe slowly to calm down your mind. With the next inhalation, close your eyes. And bring your attention to your breath. Go slowly through your body from head, neck, shoulders. You see how it feels, if it's relaxed. If there are any tensions or pain. Your arms, chest. Your belly, low back. Every time feel more relaxed and also more aware. More focus. Your hips, legs, feet, feel grounded, folded, supported. With the next inhalation, bring your attention to your heart. And imagine, feel, or see that there is a beautiful, shining light, like a twinkle star that is giving light, life. Bring all your attention to this light, to your sense, and let it grow, let it shine. And let me sing for you to be bright. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Take a deep breath, integrating all feelings, security, peace, wisdom, and slowly bring this state to the present moment we are. And now to bring all our attention to the speaker. Slowly open your eyes. Thank you.
That was relaxing.
Well, now for no, it is on. Now for the lecture we should have had in high school. Today's presenter is Dr. Bea Gallagher, certified nutrition specialist and doctor in integrative medicine and clinical nutrition. Her talk is entitled Saving the Brain. The brain is the most advanced organ in our body. What we eat, breathe, think, and do profoundly influence how it works. Our level of intelligence and how long the brain can function optimally. We develop cognitive skills throughout our lives, and even late in life can unlock further potential through proper nutrition, mental exercises, and biofeedback. Dr. Bea will tell us what promotes optimal function, what nutrients keep the brain healthy, and strategies to sharpen memory and recover some lost abilities. Dr. Bea received a BS from the University of Connecticut, an MS in Human Nutrition from the University of New Haven, a diplomat in Chinese medicine, and a PhD in integrative medicine at Capital University of Integrative Medicine in Washington, D.C. In over 30 years of practice, she has continued studying diverse aspects of clinical nutrition. Let's welcome Dr. Bea. No. Here?
Yeah. There you go.
Hi. Okay. Now we're good.
Thanks for coming. This is a beautiful morning. And I hope that you will remember what I will tell you. Today is my 5th lecture here. When I first moved to Mexico, I was born here, but I went to the U.S. for a long time. I came back and I was thinking, how am I going to fit here? And then I said, okay, I have to do something different. It just happened to what I do is very different. So my first lecture was called Building a Bridge. And the intention was to join the allopathic medicine with the alternative medicine. But I also wanted to emphasize how we can join the Western thinking with the Eastern thinking. So at that time, I had recently gone to a lecture in New York City with cardiologists who were trying to explain what is the explanation in China of why you have a heart disease. And the Western medicine, why you need Lipitor and aspirin and that. So in Chinese medicine was, you get heart disease because you have a broken heart, an emotional broken heart. And Western medicine is like, okay, the heart is a pump, let's just give aspirin and Lipitor and let's just treat it like a machine. So that was the difference. Then my second lecture was on the biochemistry of addictions. I had just finished an internship with a good friend who was a director of a drug addiction clinic, and we studied the biochemistry of why we get addicted to substances. Then my third lecture was the gut and brain connection. That's how I got the name of the poop doctor. So that's how people remember me. There's a poop doctor. Then the previous one today was natural alternatives to the top 12 prescription medicine. You can get all of this from the young man, but it's free. So today, I'd like to talk about the brain. This thing we have here is important. When I studied Chinese medicine, the brain was not important. Important was the solid organs, the liver, the lungs, the spleen. Then the brain was kind of there, but we don't know what to do with it. So how I got interested in the brain? Well, I started my career in nutrition, like on-the-job training with my son who had ADD. Then I started selling vitamins to make money for my own vitamins, because my accountant husband said that the refrigerator is full of food, don't need vitamins. Yeah, but I have to deal with this kid, not you. So then I started going to school many years later to get that degree that everybody was asking for. Later on, my mom got Parkinson's disease. So then I started thinking more about the brain and what happens. So I continued my career also because people don't get better. So I have to think, okay, maybe I need another book, another seminar. Something is there that I don't know yet. So the brain has been my latest quest. For the last 2 years, I've been working with autistic kids to see what happened that has triggered this epidemic, almost. So the brain starts right after conception. We have this girl and boy, and they're friendly, and then we have a zygote. This starts to divide quickly, and the embryonic stage is only about 2 weeks until the 8th week of pregnancy. During this stage, there's rapid growth, and then the organs start to develop. The fetal stage lasts about 9 weeks, and then it continues until 38 to 40 weeks. At time of conception, 60% or so of pregnancies are oops. My mother has 10 of those. So here, the most important nutrient you have in the picture, of course, is folic acid. The poor guy who suggested folic acid took 30 years to really believe that folic acid was important. Now, a lot of foods are enriched with folic acid. But now we're in the era of genetics. So we can test to see if we have a genetic mutation of the enzyme that activates that folic acid. So remember, we were told eat your green veggies. Well, that is where the folic acid is. It comes from foliage. So folic acid is something that is now common knowledge. It prevents spina bifida. And in chemistry, we studied folic acid for something called methylation. So a lot of chemistry is involved with that folic acid and B12. And when my kid was little, the only choice I had was Ritalin. And I said, you know, I don't think so. It just doesn't sound right. So I started learning about nutrition from anywhere. Started with my subscription to Prevention magazine. It was good. At least it was good for me at that time. But now we're in the era of genes. For some time, genetic people thought that we were the most sophisticated people or creatures or human beings on planet Earth, and we have over 100,000 genes. But no, we don't have that many. So we have about 30,000, way less. My daughter is a scientist as well, just as bright as her mom. and she studies yeast. So yeast, they use yeast to put genes, take out genes, and she electrocutes them and fries them, and she does all kinds of stuff. And nobody's really upset about killing yeast. She just grows more. But yeast has about 15,000 genes. And bacteria may have anywhere from 150 to 10, maybe 15,000. Plants, like this tree, they have about as many as we do. Because plants have to make their own food, their own medicine, and they have to survive and make more trees. So there's a bunch of different cells that make our brain. The one that we're studying the most right now is called glial cells. So these glial cells do like the housekeeping work in the brain. When Einstein died, they were very interested in studying the brain to see why he was so smart. So they gave his brain to the scientists who sliced the brain and put it in a microscope to see what was different with Einstein. What they found is he had a whole bunch of these glial cells. So in my poop brain thinking, that was a brain colonic. Keep the poop out of the brain. So the brain is also an organ that needs two things, basically. Food, which is glucose, and oxygen. Those are the most essential nutrients. And maybe you haven't had the experience, but what happens when your blood sugar drops? Don't you feel bad? You feel like angry or anxious or something? They have done studies with criminals, and they found that about 60% of the crimes were committed while the person was in a low blood sugar. So I guess we have to feed everybody so they don't kill us. So the brain has many types of specialized cells, and the problem is that because we have it stuck in here, we cannot do a biopsy. It will be a little invasive. So we have to go a lot by how we feel and how we function. So let's start with what hurts the brain. So I'm going to start from the youngest. First, to have a very smart kid, we need a smart father and mother. In India, they do this preparation for pregnancy where they detox 6 months to a year before they conceive to give the baby the best chance to have a nice baby. While I was studying autism, we got really involved in studying vaccinations. And I was in a lecture with this doctor who had been a pediatrician for about 30 years. And he remembers when he said when he was in medical school, he never learned of one case of autism. And now it's just everywhere. So he said that the vaccines have a lot to do with this, or at least in his thinking, because vaccines have heavy metals. The thimerosal is mercury. Now they have replaced the mercury for aluminum. And why do they put heavy metals in vaccination? It is because those heavy metals excite the immune system, kind of shakes it out. But not everybody can handle those heavy metals. So if the mom didn't have very good nutrition, if the baby's liver is not producing enough glutathione, which is the best antioxidant made by the body, then the brain starts to be even more sensitive to further insults. So they have guessed that there are more boys than girls because there's a combination of deficiency of detoxification of the liver, mainly glutathione, the heavy metals, and testosterone. So boys have more testosterone in girls. So then we have also infections and viruses that happen at early age. Iron deficiency is a big one for young kids. If you have a baby with iron deficiency, it could decrease severely the IQ, and it's irreversible. High fevers. I knew of a case of brain damage due to hydration, overhydration. This kid had a fever that was very high, and they gave him an IV, but put way too much IV fluid and damaged the brain. So now, small children, they're picky kids. I don't like this, I don't like that. And you have to beg them, eat this, it's good for you. They don't care if you tell them it's good for you. But, junk food, that's always good. So we need to negotiate. When my kids were little, I was already telling my vitamins. And if they didn't eat the Reggie's 5 tablets of alcohol, there's no negotiation. Eat the pills. Okay. So my son, when I served some weird vegetables, he would just hand out, grab his hand to give me my drugs. So, he knew. Exposure to heavy metals. Just a couple of days ago, or last week I think, there was an article in the Washington Post about heavy metal exposure and toxicity in elementary school kids. And they had lead. So they are starting a program about testing the kids for lead. But if they are positive for lead toxicity, nobody knows what to do with it, how to take it out. We have deficiency of protein, vitamins, and minerals. We have the SNPs, which is the genetic, my daughter doesn't like me to call them mutations. She says, Mom, don't call them mutations. People think they're weird, like, they walk like this. Call them diversity. Call them something else, but not mutation. So we call them SNPs. And SNP means single nucleotide, single nucleotide change. And that is like misspelling. So if you have a word that is misspelled, we can read it and make it up. But if you have SHIT and SHEET, then it's a little different, right? So we have to be careful about the spelling. As kids get older, now we're going to drugs. Starting with cigarettes, then alcohol. Now the big word is marijuana. So I talked to my friend who was the director of the addiction clinic, and he said, I'm not against marijuana, but not for young kids. The brain is not fully developed. And I saw a kid recently who had almost no short-term memory. He had been smoking marijuana since he was 11. He's now 20. And then as we get older, we start getting some conditions, some diseases, and then we start on the medications, prescription medications. So the ones I know that are very damaging for your memory, at least, painkillers, cholesterol-lowering medications, depression medications. So we have to talk about now the gut again. The bacteria that you carry in your intestines does a lot of detox to you. So why some people are smoking and drinking till old age and they seem to be fine? And they always, we're careful, we eat organic and we do this and we do that, we sleep our hours, and then we have a lot of senior moments. So the deficiencies start at an early age, and it depends where we live and what we eat. But for kids, this toxicity of heavy metals is more likely to happen if they're low in zinc, and then if the zinc is low, then aluminum jumps in. For older people, the deficiencies are not as obvious, and they would be like B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, and then we are wearing all these sunblocks and hat and all that. We do need some sun. There's a scientist now at Harvard University who is reversing this idea of sunblock. And I would say eat more beta-carotene rich foods so your skin will have more antioxidants and you don't get this sun damage. So now, I recently became a senior citizen. And I went to the States to get my mail, and I got all kinds of insurance. Even a funeral. Pay your funeral in advance is cheaper. I don't think I want to die yet. What we do have here is also an increase in mental disorders. Started with depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. The one that scares me, like everybody else, is the Alzheimer's. I recently lost a dear friend to Alzheimer's. The death certificate says he died of kidney failure, but he had his Alzheimer's for like 10 years previously. So Alzheimer's, like all chronic conditions, has to do with systemic inflammation. The brain can get inflamed. And the most likely cause of brain inflammation is what you eat. Now we're big on wheat. If you are intolerant to wheat, that can inflame your brain. Deficiency of essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6, that can cause inflammation. Also some infections. So talking about foods, that's the thing I can control very quickly. So I spent a bunch of money and I have my food allergy test. And I thought wheat and dairy would be an issue, but no, I can eat all the wheat and all. But what came out positive, which made me very sad, asparagus, bell peppers, brewer's yeast, chickpea, coffee. No, coffee no. Cumin, honey, melon, navy beans, pecan, psyllium, red beet, sea bass, soybeans, tomato, white potato. I said, right, that's my diet. And then a little bit more severe, cayenne pepper. Okay, I can live without chili. But lentils, lima beans, and papaya. I said, okay, what is causing all these allergies? And then I remember, leaky gut. Gotta fix my gut. So I gotta walk the walk and talk the talk, right? So now I'm making my bone soup and taking my probiotics. I go to bed early. I only see nice people. That will lower my stress level. And this field is just a never-ending field. You always have to learn something. Mostly I see older people. I don't see the young moms or the guys still in college. So for me, what is most important to test to see if their brain is well fed? Well, I'm doing now homocysteine level. That will tell me if the B12 is okay. That also involves folic acid and vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 is very important. It used to be in whole grains, but now everything we eat is kind of white flour, white rice, white sugar. If somebody comes to me and tells me, I have lots of senior moments, I say, well, join the club. So then, if we want to know more specifically why we have more senior moments than before, then, unfortunately, in Mexico, we don't have a sophisticated testing as the U.S., but the test that would be ideal would be amino acid test to see if you have what it takes to make your neurotransmitters. Organic acid is the urine test, and that tells me the metabolism, how well you are functioning chemically. If you produce enough energy, if you have enough of the B vitamin, if you have bad yeast and it's eating away your food and makes you crave carbohydrates. So those tests are very valuable. If we can, we also do a heavy metal test. I just did mine. That's the bad news. It says I high arsenic. I live alone. Who's trying to kill me? So it must be something I'm eating or the water. Another thing that I found recently, well, in the last year or so, in this area we have water problems and we have mold. So when you live in a moldy place or you're exposed to mold, mold also causes a lot of memory problems. So I asked them, where do you live? Where do you spend your time? Do you have water damage in your roof? How about under the sink? Does you smell anything moldy there? Because if you do have mold toxicity, that is a hard one to fix. When the brain is inflamed, nothing works fine. Everything is like, okay, I want to die because you can't eat, you cannot go to a store, you cannot go to the bank. This patient that I have couldn't even go to Walmart because every place that has air conditioning, a lot of them are moldy. So you gotta go in the store with a face mask. It's very, very bad. So moldy places are bad for you. If you live in a moldy place, move. Unless you own it and you can fix it, you can't just find another place. So talking about also what hurts the brain, let's talk about pain. Anybody with pain? Okay. So pain, there's a lot of chemistry going on with the pain, with chronic pain like fibromyalgia, like injuries. So there's chemistry for pain. And I recently went to a lecture with this Dr. Alex Vasquez, who wrote a book, Brain on Fire, explains the chemistry of chronic pain and how with a simple vitamin we can break that vicious cycle and start to decrease the pain medication. So I will give a list of books for people who are interested because there's a lot of chemistry involved in there, and you can decrease or even get rid of those heavy painkillers. For people who have arthritis and have a lot of joint pain, the best thing I have found is the food allergy test, heal the gut. Not everybody is enthusiastic about colonics, but okay. Give them lots of fiber, but lots of supplements. There is just no way how we can fix our brain and nutrients, get all the nutrients with just a regular diet. It's just not going to happen. The soil is too depleted. We don't eat all the food we need to. When I was in school, I had a class, advanced nutrition, and my teacher was a dietitian, and she insisted that we get all the nutrients from 3 meals a day. So I took my textbook, the textbook from the class, and I made a list of all the vitamins and get the best sources of each vitamin, how much we had to eat, and added all the calories, presented my paper. She didn't like it. She gave me a C. But we had to ingest about 10,000 calories a day to get all the nutrients for every vitamin. And I don't think anybody's going to do that. So supplements are now a good help, a good tool to make up the difference, to correct deficiencies, to prevent things. So vitamins can be useful for all aspects. Now the thing is which vitamin and which company. So I've been trying a lot of vitamins. Finally, the vitamins that do work, that I know they work, I bring them from the States, but it's a challenge. You sweat bullets at customs and hope they don't take them away. And then I ask people, you're going to the U.S., can you bring me this, can you bring me that? So finally I found a lab who will produce the vitamins that I like here in Mexico. Because it's easier to import raw material than the end product. So soon I will have my brain line. And I will will be my own best customer. So the thing with all conditions, we have to talk about energy. Number one reason why people go to the doctor or come to see me or anybody is I'm tired. So now we're moving from a diagnose, well, you have these and this and that. Then we went into more of the integrative medicine model. Now we go in more detail and study mitochondria. Well, why mitochondria? What is mitochondria? Well, mitochondria is an organelle inside the cells where we make energy, where we produce energy to do everything. To walk, to sleep, to breathe, to think. The brain is only about 10% of our body weight, but it sucks 25% of our glucose for energy. So the mitochondria is where we produce our energy, and it requires a specific nutrients. The most common deficiency I see is B vitamin deficiency and coenzyme Q10. Those are the big ones. But then we also have alpha-lipoic acid, we have magnesium, we have other accessory nutrients, N-acetylcysteine, carnitine. People who are vegetarians are usually low in carnitine. Carnitine was discovered in carne. If they don't eat carne, they're carnitine deficient. Lipoic acid is kind of a taxi that takes the glucose from the anaerobic system of energy to the aerobic. It's a taxi. Of course, we use now melatonin. So people who have problems with falling asleep, we make melatonin while we sleep. So you can't sleep, you don't make enough melatonin. So the number one thing that we don't worry about is memory, right? Okay. 10 signs of brain trouble. Memory loss that disrupts your life. Challenges in planning or solving problems. Difficulty in completing tasks at home, work, or leisure. Confusion of time or place. Trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. New problems with words. How do you call this and that? Misplacing things or putting things in the wrong place. Don't put your books in the oven. Decreased judgment. And changes in mood and personality. So those are kind of signs and symptoms of memory loss. But how are we going to fix it or prevent it? Number one, guys, no pill for this, is exercise. So today I have my friend there who put me on the floor and says, we're going to do yoga. Ouch. I'm still ouching. So the exercise has two things. It provides oxygen to your brain, and your muscles remember how to move. The brain needs two things, glucose and oxygen. Keep learning. Don't sit all day long by the TV. Interact with people. Ask something. Learn Spanish. If you take your acetylcholine, right, most likely it will stick better. A good night's sleep. Also have social activities. Hang around with nice people. Get rid of the negative people. Almost done. Okay, let me just, I have some last notes from my friend Charlie. Because I said, Charlie, I'm going to talk about brain. What should I say? I said, God is in the details. Behind all mental disorders is the fight and flight response. Fight is anger, and fright is fear. The neurotransmitter most important for this is noradrenaline, and that needs food. And methylation, that's where the folic acid comes in, because to make adrenaline, we need to methylate it. Mood and happiness and feel joy, it depends on dopamine. Dopamine needs phenylalanine, a plus vitamin B3, iron, and magnesium. If you have family history of mental problems like my mother with Parkinson's, there are some genes that we can test for. And then methylation, we have over-methylators and under-methylators. Most of us are under-methylators. And the characteristic is we're restless, we're active, we are impatient, we like to work hard, we like things done, we are more at risk of cancer and heart disease. We have the sickle cell anemia trait, which was a survival mechanism, so we survive. We need to increase our brain activity, and how? Well, water is one thing, but then eat your eggs. Never mind this cholesterol thing. Liver and organ meats. If you have ADD or know somebody, well, I wish I knew what I know now when my kid was little, but that was amino acids, thyroid, heavy metals, food allergies, omega-3 fatty acids. My son always had these bumps on the back of the arms. That's omega-3 deficiency. Constipation. How about if we change the diet and give good bacteria so we don't have to give constipation medicine? In the U.S. now, those soldiers that came back from the war, Iran, Iraq, they have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It is a neurotransmitter. They're stuck in the survival. And we need to detox before we take psychological therapy. If you're toxic, it's not going to work. If you smoke, well, how about if you try 4 lecithins in the morning, 4 in the evening, and see if you still like your cigarettes. Okay? Now, for closing, meditation was the best thing for bringing oxygen to the brain. So if you try to meditate and cannot meditate, that is an indication of toxicity. So detox before and also practice. Heavy metals are everywhere, so we get them whether we want them or not. So how about going to the balneario? Go there. That water is very high in sulfur, and it helps to pull out those heavy metals. If you have heavy metal toxicity with aluminum, well, you can have Fiji water, but Fiji's kind of far. I don't know if you can get Fiji water here. But the Mexican solution, horsetail tea, that's cheap. Okay, so heavy metals are a thing for us to consider. There are many more things to talk about, but time is limited, and I thank you very much for your time and your attention. And now we have questions.
It's on? Good. We'll take your questions. Raise your hand. Somebody will bring you the mic, and hold it close to your mouth. Thank you.
Very nice talk. Thank you, Bea. This is more of a public service announcement. You guys know that I do a lot of help and research for my articles and my writing, and B12 levels should never be below 600. If they're at 550, you can get spinal cord degeneration. So get your B12 levels checked. It's the great mimicker of everything from Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, MS. If you have an issue, it may be B12.
Thank you, Anna. Let's try to limit this to questions for Bea. You stand, Patricia.
Dr. B, could you talk about antibiotics and their relationship to some of the things you've been talking about, antibiotic resistance, taking too many, that kind of thing? How does it fit in with?
Okay, antibiotics means against life. So when you need antibiotics, it's very important to replace your good bacteria that you have lost. Antibiotics don't care, they kill everything, good and bad. So if you have a good source of probiotics, use it. But also use a little fermented food. The pulque in Mexico. We have sauerkraut. We have a lot of foods that you can do at home without buying food because they need to be alive, right? So don't buy dead food or dead supplements. It doesn't do any good. But the more you use antibiotics, the more you damage your intestinal flora, and that is the main chemistry in the body, the flora.
Close to your mouth.
I was just wondering if there was a place here to have an allergy test in Mexico.
I believe some of the labs here can do Ajijic, allergy test, and they have panels of different foods, like 10 foods, 50 foods, 100 foods. The one I have done, it has 150 foods, and it includes the spices. A lot of the spices might be in the picture. And there are allergy doctors in Guadalajara where they do the pricking, but that's only for IgE allergies, the immediate allergy like dogs, cats, dogs, that kind of thing. The best labs are in the U.S., so if you are interested, see me.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I just want to clarify something that early on in your presentation, I think that you were making the link between vaccinations and the onset of infantile autism. And the reason I ask the question is because I understand it that the British physician that made that link has since been discredited and that the
Yes.
conclusions were in fact
No.
false and for whatever reason. And I just wondered what if that's the link that you were making or not.
No, the link that I'm making is not from a doctor from England. This was a observation of a doctor in Portland, Oregon, that he has been in practice for 30 years, and he said that the hepatitis B vaccine that started now in hospitals should be given way down the road after 1 year of age. Because hepatitis B, you get it through sex and dirty needles, mainly. So the other one, the doctor in England, he was talking about the MMR mom vaccination, right? It's a different vaccine because we want vaccinations, if you choose to have them, with dead virus, not live virus. So the vaccination is a hot potato, and you will have two teams, one against, one pro, and well, I'm learning more about the topic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I started biology quite young, and in my history, there was a way that every waste was decomposed, and it involved oxygen. Now, there were no plastic bags at that time. Now we're flooded here with plastic bags, meat, butter, and the blood is in there. We squish the plastic bag, and oxygen doesn't get in. Most of it. I don't know how it gets in. The question is, could we, shall we say, have request the scientists to see what's going on in the anaerobic without oxygen, because the plastic is in the middle of the ocean and all the rest. And I have a brother who's got a milder disease in the lower spine, and they're trying in Ottawa to change the, shall we say, the antibiotics. Yes.
We need a question.
The question is, isn't this important? Isn't it important to know how we're changing our environment and ask the scientists to please help us investigate before it's too late and
Thank
generate?
you. Thank you so much.
Okay, for that I would say, don't buy them, don't use them. If you don't buy plastic bags, they will not make them. We have the power. If you just don't want to use them, then they have to change.
Dr. Bear, if you have an infection and your doctor prescribes antibiotics, are there alternative natural medicines that we could take instead of the chemicals?
Yes, thank you for your question. I do have natural antibiotics. We have very old-fashioned natural antibiotics, oregano oil, garlic, onions. We have many herbs. I am using now some that are produced originally from Africa because antibiotics is a new invention. You know, they started after the war. And the plants have been around for thousands of years. So I use one called cryptolepis from the planet Krypton. And that zaps everything, bacteria, fungus, bacteria, and viruses. And there are choices. But I would emphasize also to work on your immune system. If your immune system is strong, you're not going to get that bug. So work on that too.
Okay, I think we'll have two more questions.
Up here.
One up there.
Yes, you mentioned detoxing. There are many methods of detox. You go into a drugstore and you see all these detoxing methods, buy them in a box, that type of thing. Also, you hear and read you should do it so many times in the course of a year or a month. Do you have any suggestions what you really might want to use for detoxing and how many times if you are to detox in the course of a year, how many times you should even do it?
Okay.
It's very confusing in that end.
Detox for me, clinically will be, do we know what we have to detox? Is it a heavy metal? Is it a residue of medications? Is it just environmental? So it will be very useful if we know what we need to detox from. If we don't, we just want to do a general thing. You can do as much as you can or as little as you can. So one general recommendation would be doing a detox, something that you choose to do every change of season, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And that would be very good. You can do daily things, little things that will help. Drink more water, go to bed early. Do not allow yourself to be constipated. So those are daily things we can all do.
Well, this was going to be our last question over here with Lou.
Can you speak to the chemical differences between short-term and long-term memory?
Okay, short-term memory depends a lot of acetylcholine, which is our neurotransmitter. Remember, eat eggs, liver, and organ meat. The long-term memory is also attached more to emotions. I bet if I ask everybody, what were you doing when Kennedy was shot? You all remember, right? What were you doing in 9/11? It's emotion. So the long-term memory is much connected with emotion. So if you want to do both, put emotion in the meal that you have today. Right? You know, the cow that died for you because now you have your steak. So a long-term memory also is connected to toxicity.
Sounds like they've already turned you on. But it was a wonderful talk, and we so appreciate it. Now, are you willing to stay a little bit for people more? We may ask some of your questions if we didn't answer them to Bea personally afterwards. So we hope to see you next week for day